Listen carefully. Heaven has stilled everything around you so that this message could find you now. Nothing about this moment is random. The delay, the confusion, the endless questions that have swirled inside your mind, they were all pieces of a divine pause. You have stepped into a sacred intersection between what was and what is about to be. God has opened the way. You have felt it for some time now, the stirring that something greater was waiting to break through. The silence wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Heaven was not ignoring you, it was aligning you. Every unanswered prayer was not rejection, but incubation. The miracle you've been praying for has been forming in the unseen. And today, heaven whispers, it's time. There comes a point when divine timing collides with human readiness. You are standing at that collision right now. The same power that parted the Red Sea is parting the resistance in front of you. What was once blocked is now commanded to open. The chains that kept you stagnant have lost their authority. You are being released not by human effort, but by divine command. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. Behold, I will do a new thing, now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness, and rivers in the desert. The old chapter closes quietly, but heaven's handwriting is already visible on the next page. The atmosphere around you is shifting. Where there was drought, provision begins to flow. Where there was rejection, new acceptance arises. You are not forgotten, you are favored. The hand of God has moved, and creation must now obey his decree over your life. This moment is not for hesitation. When heaven opens a door, hesitation becomes disobedience. Do not question the opening before you walk through it. You have prayed for confirmation. This is your confirmation. Every closed opportunity, every disappointment, every delay, it all prepared your heart to recognize this moment when it came. You are being called to move with faith, not fear. The season of being hidden ends tonight. What was prepared in secret will now be revealed publicly. You will witness how effortlessly God turns the impossible into testimony. The enemy hoped to bury you beneath discouragement, but he only planted you. What was meant to be your grave has become the soil of your resurrection. Look again. The path ahead may not look familiar, but it is divinely ordered. The steps of the righteous are not random, they are orchestrated. You will begin to notice divine coincidences, people appearing at the right time. Opportunities that seem too perfect to be chance. That's not luck. That's God showing you that the way is open. Take a breath and let the weight of waiting fall from your shoulders. Heaven is no longer silent. You are standing beneath an open heaven, where prayers finally meet answers. Every delay has reached its expiration date. Every force that tried to hold you back must now release you. It is finished. The gates have been unlocked. Now, chosen one, lift your eyes. Don't look at what's been lost, look at what's being released. God is restoring the years that were stolen from you. He is bringing people into your life who will honor your purpose, not hinder it. He is shifting your environment to match your anointing. You don't have to chase what's yours. It's already chasing you. This is your moment to step forward boldly. You were not called to live small, to doubt your worth, or to question your destiny. You were called to be a sign of divine favor on earth. When others see you rise, they will know God still moves. They will see that miracles still happen. So, before this moment passes, pause and act. This message reached you for a reason. Let heaven know you received it. Like this message, share it with others, and subscribe so you stay connected to the voice that keeps guiding you toward light. And when you've done that, type this prophetic number in the comments, 777, as a declaration that you have stepped into your miracle season, that heaven has opened your way, and that no power of darkness can shut what God has decreed open. And as you type it, feel the shift in your spirit. Something unseen begins to respond to your faith. Heaven records every act of belief. And even now, your declaration is writing your new beginning across eternity. The wind of change is already moving around you. What once resisted you now opens easily. Because divine authority has spoken your name, every door that belongs to you swings wide under the weight of God's promise. Stay alert, for signs will soon follow this word. Unexpected favor, sudden alignment, and quiet confirmations will appear before your eyes. Your miracle has not just been announced, it has been released. You remember the nights when your heart felt like it could not bear one more disappointment, the prayers that went unanswered, the doors that closed before you could even touch them, the moments when you whispered, "God, where are you?" and the silence echoed louder than your own thoughts. What you did not see then was that every breaking point was a construction site for something greater. Each tear that fell was not wasted, it was counted. Each loss you endured carried divine purpose. Heaven was not punishing you, it was purifying you. There are moments in the life of the chosen when God hides himself, not to abandon, but to strengthen. The darkness you faced was never the absence of his presence, it was the intensity of his process. Heaven allows pressure not to destroy you, but to reveal what can only emerge in the fire. You were not being destroyed, you were being defined. The breaking you endured was the unlocking of something unshakable inside you. It was in those lonely seasons that the foundation of your faith was carved out. And though you could not see it, the heavens were silent because the work was sacred. When the clay is on the potter's wheel, it cannot speak. It cannot see what it is becoming. It only feels the spinning and the pressure. But the potter's hands never leave the clay. Every twist, every press, every shaping was guided by love. You have not been spinning aimlessly. God has been shaping your destiny with divine precision. And now, the breaking point that once felt like your ending has become your doorway. Heaven was waiting for your endurance to mature, for your spirit to be fully prepared to hold what was coming. The truth is, your miracle could not come too soon. It would have crushed you. But now, after the fire, you are ready. You are steady. You are no longer shaken by the same storms that once broke you. There is beauty in the breaking, though you rarely see it in the moment. The crushing of your expectations made room for divine intervention. The betrayal that wounded you severed unhealthy attachments. The rejection that left you in pain pushed you closer to purpose. Every loss carried hidden mercy. Every silence concealed strategy. Heaven was working while your heart was weeping. The Word of God declares in the second letter to Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." And morning is here. It does not always come with fanfare or bright colors. It comes quietly, like light through a window. Suddenly, the air feels different. Suddenly, you realize that the things that once broke you no longer have power over you. That is how you know morning has arrived. It is not about the sun outside. It is about the awakening within. When God restores, He never restores you to the same version you were before. You are not returning to normal. You are being elevated to new. The scars you carry are not signs of failure. They are seals of victory. They prove you survived what was meant to destroy you. They are your credentials in the spiritual realm, announcing to darkness that you are not the same as before. The breaking point is always the birthplace of strength. The moments that made you question your worth are the very moments that revealed your divine resilience. What the enemy intended as an ending, heaven transformed into the foundation of your next beginning. Now, your soul carries a new sound, one that only comes from those who have walked through the fire and come out refined. You no longer beg for proof. You are the proof. You no longer chase after validation. Your survival is your testimony. Everything that broke you was building you for this hour. The pain you endured trained you to recognize real peace. The loneliness taught you how to hear God's whisper. The delays taught you the rhythm of divine timing. And now, you can finally understand it was not punishment, it was preparation. So do not look back with bitterness. Look back with understanding. Every broken piece has become part of your testimony. You are walking proof that God never wastes pain. You are the evidence that even in silence, He speaks through the shaping. The breaking point was not the end of your story. It was the moment heaven began writing the miracle you are about to see. And now the pieces of your past no longer haunt you. They serve you. What once hurt you now empowers you, turning pain into purpose and weakness into unstoppable strength. Heaven smiles upon your endurance. The storm has passed, and clarity replaces confusion. You finally see that every breaking point was God's careful way of building your unshakable faith. You often wondered if God was truly working when everything seemed still. The silence felt endless. The prayers returned unanswered, and your faith trembled under the weight of delay. But what you did not realize was that the invisible hand of God was never idle. Behind the curtain of stillness, heaven was orchestrating divine details, aligning moments, people, and places for your breakthrough. You were never forgotten. You were being positioned. Every setback was a setup. Every closed door was redirection. The hidden hand of God moved in ways you could not perceive, shifting hearts, rearranging circumstances, and preparing the stage for your miracle. What you called delay was divine choreography, precise and perfect in its timing. When the seed is planted, it disappears beneath the soil, unseen and forgotten. But growth happens in the hidden. The darkness around the seed is not punishment, it is protection. It is in the unseen where roots grow deep, where foundations are strengthened. You, too, were hidden not to be buried, but to be rooted. Heaven covered you until your time of unveiling arrived. You must understand this: God's silence does not mean His absence. When heaven hides, it's because the hand of God is working with sacred delicacy. If you had seen what He was doing, you would have interfered out of impatience. He was shielding the process from your premature touch. What you call waiting, heaven calls weaving, a divine intertwining of purpose and timing. Scripture says in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." There were battles you never saw but won because God fought for you. There were enemies who plotted but failed because heaven intervened silently. You have no idea how many accidents were prevented, how many traps dissolved, How many betrayals were exposed before they reached you? You were surrounded by divine defense. Even now, that same invisible hand is rearranging the atmosphere around you. Conversations are happening in rooms you have not entered. Opportunities are forming in places you've never been. The hearts of people are being moved by unseen currents of divine influence to favor you, to open doors, to remember your name. You may not see the movement yet, but you can feel the shift, that inner stirring, that sudden peace after confusion. It is the whisper of the Spirit saying, I am working. God specializes in quiet victories. He doesn't always send thunder to announce his power. Sometimes he sends stillness to reveal his control. Think of Joseph in the prison, forgotten by those he helped. It seemed like nothing was happening, yet God was setting the stage for his elevation. One night, one dream, one divine shift, and everything changed. The same pattern is unfolding in your life. God is aligning your name with destiny's timing, and the manifestation will be sudden. When heaven works in silence, faith becomes your vision. You are asked to trust what you cannot trace. It's not easy, but it's holy, because faith is not proven in the light, it is forged in the dark. Every silent season teaches your spirit to listen differently, to recognize the heartbeat of heaven even when you cannot hear words. Soon, everything hidden will make sense. The disappointments will form a pattern. The waiting will reveal its purpose. You will see that nothing was wasted, not the tears, not the confusion, not the delay. Every moment was a brushstroke in a masterpiece that heaven was painting behind the scenes. So now, rest your heart. You don't need to force what God is forming. Let the unseen hand continue its work. Trust that the silence is sacred space where miracles mature. The more still you become, the more clearly you will sense the movement of heaven. And when you feel that quiet confirmation inside the peace that surpasses understanding, remember this moment. Because everything you once worried about is already being handled by the hidden hand of God. Now, as an act of agreement, write in the comments, God is moving. Let it be your declaration of faith that even when you cannot see it, you believe it. Say it not as a wish, but as a witness, because the hidden hand of God is already at work for you. When you comment, God is moving, you are not repeating empty words, you are aligning your spirit with divine motion. Every declaration in faith becomes a key in the unseen, unlocking what heaven has already released but waited for you to acknowledge. Those 3 words carry weight beyond the screen. They echo in realms where angels move, where timing shifts, where favor begins to flow toward your name. By typing them, you are joining heaven's agreement that the delay has ended and manifestation has begun. Say it boldly, not as one hoping for proof, but as one standing in prophecy. Let the words God is moving be your seal of trust, your signature of faith. The unseen hand is working. Your miracle is no longer pending, it's unfolding now. Something has shifted around you, though you may not have words for it yet. The air feels different, lighter, charged with unseen energy. Heaven is no longer whispering, it is moving. You sense the divine rhythm changing. What resisted you yesterday now seems to bow. The atmosphere itself bends under divine command. What once stood as an obstacle has become an instrument. This is the shift in the atmosphere, and you are standing in the middle of it. Every spiritual change begins quietly, before the rain falls, The sky darkens. Before the ground breaks, the wind trembles. Before the promise manifests, the atmosphere rearranges. You have been feeling that rearrangement, sleepless nights. Sudden peace after chaos. Unusual clarity. The sense that something unseen is preparing to break open. It's not coincidence, it's confirmation. Heaven has said, enough delay. The season of waiting has reached its appointed end. God has been patient with the process because He was waiting for you to grow strong enough to handle the weight of what He's releasing. Now, the maturity of your faith has caught up with the magnitude of His promise. You are ready. And heaven knows it. That's why the shift feels urgent, heavy, holy. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Everything that felt delayed was never denial. It was divine timing. The alignment that is happening right now is precise. You are entering a season where spiritual forces move on your behalf without you having to strive. The striving ends when the shifting begins. Doors will open that your hands never touched. Hearts will soften that once resisted you. Situations that drained your energy will suddenly release you. Do not mistake this shift for luck or coincidence. You are stepping into the current of divine orchestration. God has spoken over your situation, and the elements have received the command. When heaven decrees movement, nothing on earth can resist it. The laws of resistance that once held you captive now yield to the authority of your destiny. You will notice the change in subtle ways at first, the conversations that start aligning with your calling, the people who unexpectedly appear to help you, the opportunities that mirror your prayers. These are not random. They are signs that the spiritual atmosphere has changed. Everything in creation responds to God's timing, and you are walking in the hour of divine manifestation. There is no need to fear what comes next. When God shifts the atmosphere, He doesn't remove stability, He replaces it with purpose. The uncertainty you feel is not chaos, it's transition. Heaven is reorganizing your surroundings to match your calling. Relationships, environments, even habits are being rearranged to make space for what's coming. Do not resist the change. It's evidence that the promise is near. You are entering a realm where acceleration happens. What took years will now take months. What felt impossible will unfold naturally. The resistance that once defined your journey is dissolving under divine momentum. The pace of your destiny is increasing, not to overwhelm you, but to position you where your influence can multiply. Every shift in the spirit requires awareness in the soul. You must stay sensitive, alert, and grounded. The moment you begin to sense the change, choose stillness over panic. Many miss their breakthrough because they try to control what God is already managing. This is not the time to force results. It is the time to flow with grace. There will be moments when it feels like everything is moving too fast. But remember, acceleration is not instability when God is steering. You are not losing control. You are gaining divine velocity. Heaven has stepped into your timeline, and the pace has adjusted to match your purpose. Even the battles that once frightened you will lose their grip. The same storms that once shook you will now serve as proof of how much you've grown. You are stronger than the winds, anchored in faith, and surrounded by divine protection. You are not being tested, you are being transitioned. And when you feel that quiet strength rising from within, that confidence that you can't quite explain, know this, it's the atmosphere recognizing who you are. Creation itself responds to the chosen. The earth knows your name because heaven has marked your assignment. So walk forward gently but boldly. The resistance has ended. The shift has begun. What you once chased is now chasing you. Everything in the unseen is working in harmony to fulfill what God has already spoken. The atmosphere has changed, and nothing will remain the same. You have entered the current of divine movement, where every delay turns to divine momentum. What once resisted you now propels you forward toward the fulfillment of God's promise. Breathe and receive this new rhythm. The heavens are in motion around your life, declaring that your season of stillness has transformed into supernatural advancement. There comes a moment when heaven's voice cuts through every layer of confusion, every doubt that has clouded your steps. You've been waiting for clarity, and now it has come, not as a loud shout, but as a sacred whisper. Rise. This is the command of God echoing into your spirit. You have lingered long enough in hesitation. The gates before you are open. It's time to walk through them. You have been standing at the threshold of transformation, unsure if you are ready, unsure if you are enough. But the truth is this: you were never meant to feel ready. You were meant to trust. The strength you seek appears only in motion. As you move, grace meets you. As you step, paths appear. God's command to rise is not a demand of perfection. It is an invitation into purpose. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 10, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." This means your path was carved before your first breath. You are not trying to create destiny, you are discovering it. Every moment that felt like wandering was really preparation for this unveiling. You were being sculpted, not stalled. The delays were not wasted time, they were the forming of your foundation. When God says, "Rise," it is never to prove yourself, it is to reveal what He already placed within you. The world doesn't need another perfect person, it needs a willing one. Your obedience is the key that unlocks what countless prayers have waited for. Each step forward sends ripples through the unseen, signaling heaven that you are aligning with divine purpose. Think of a seed buried in the dark soil. It doesn't argue with the ground. It doesn't fear the weight of earth above it. It simply grows toward the light. That's what God is asking of you, to rise toward what is calling you. Even if you can't yet see the full picture, growth requires movement, not understanding. You've been given a new command: do not analyze your way out of faith. The more you try to make sense of everything, the further you drift from the miracle waiting to meet you. Sometimes obedience looks like a quiet yes, a gentle surrender to the unknown, trusting that God's hand is steady even when the ground beneath you shifts. Rise, not with arrogance, but with awe. Rise, not because you've figured it out, but because heaven has spoken. This is not about striving, it's about surrendering to what was always meant for you. You were chosen to walk through this gate not because of what you've done, but because of who He is. And as you take those first steps, something beautiful begins to happen. The world around you responds. Light recognizes light. Purpose attracts purpose. You will find that the very act of moving forward becomes contagious. Your courage awakens courage in others. People will see you rise and remember that they, too, were made to stand again. That is the hidden power of obedience. It becomes a spark. When you rise, you become a living invitation for others to believe again. Your journey becomes a mirror reflecting the faithfulness of God. So, let this be your gentle awakening. There is no pressure here, no demand, only a divine whisper calling you higher. You are free to choose whether to remain or to step forward, but if you do rise, the wind of heaven will meet you mid-air. And when you feel that sacred stirring inside the one that says, "Yes, this is my moment," let that be your answer. Reach out to the light. Allow your heart to respond naturally. Maybe for you, rising means opening your heart wider. Maybe it means planting a seed of light by sharing this word so it can bloom in another soul. Maybe it means pressing your mark upon this message, a quiet way to say, "I was here. I received this." Maybe it means remaining connected to this stream of light, like staying close to a fire that keeps your faith warm. Whatever rising looks like for you, let it be authentic. Let it come from gratitude, not guilt, from revelation, not pressure. Because every act of faith, every small yes, builds a bridge between heaven's will and your world. You are standing at the edge of something sacred. The gate is open. The path is lit. And heaven is watching to see what you will do next. Don't rush. Just breathe. Let your next move be your worship, your quiet yes to the divine call. Heaven has spoken. The gates are open. Step through. When you plant that seed, it doesn't vanish, it multiplies. Every act of light you release circles back in blessing, watering faith in others and strengthening your own roots in grace. The journey doesn't end here, it unfolds endlessly. Each connection, each whisper of belief, keeps heaven's fire alive within you, glowing brighter with every step. Heaven has marked you. You may not feel different, but something in the unseen has shifted. There is a seal upon you now, a divine recognition that separates you from what once bound you. This moment is not ordinary, it is a spiritual coronation. The oil of purpose has been poured, and heaven whispers, "This one is mine." You have carried weight that few understood. You've endured seasons that broke others but refined you. Every unseen battle, every quiet victory, every moment you chose faith over fear, it has written your name upon heaven's altar. Now the mark becomes visible. The same power that anointed kings and prophets rests upon you, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. The book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. This is the prophetic exchange unfolding over your life. The ashes of your sorrow are being traded for a crown of glory. Where heaviness once ruled your heart, joy now takes its throne. You are not being patched up, you are being reborn. God does not mark those who are finished, He marks those who are faithful. This seal upon your life is not an ending, it is an assignment. You carry evidence of divine ownership. When darkness looks at you now, it sees light it cannot touch. When fear approaches, it finds a wall it cannot cross. The seal of the Spirit declares that you belong to heaven. This mark will begin to show in quiet but unmistakable ways. Doors that resisted you will now open easily. People who overlooked you will begin to remember you. Even your countenance will shift. Others will sense peace where there was once pressure. That's what happens when heaven identifies its own. There will be those who cannot explain why they are drawn to you, why they listen when you speak, or why they feel calm in your presence. It's not you they're sensing, it's the mark. The fragrance of divine favor travels before you and lingers after you leave. Heaven's fingerprint cannot be erased. Understand this clearly. The seal does not make you better than others, it makes you more accountable. It means your words carry weight. Your choices echo louder, and your actions ripple through eternity. You are not ordinary anymore. You represent something greater than yourself. So guard what you carry. Do not waste your energy trying to prove it. Those meant to recognize the anointing upon you will feel it before they understand it. You are not here to explain your calling. You are here to express it. Your obedience will say what words never could. Heaven marks its chosen not for comfort, but for purpose. The mark means mission. You are a carrier of light in dark spaces. You are a voice of calm in chaotic times. You are an answer walking into rooms filled with questions. That is what this seal means. You are sent. And in this sending, you are not alone. The same Spirit that sealed you empowers you. The same presence that anointed you now accompanies you. You may feel unqualified, but anointing has never been about qualification. It has always been about calling. Heaven equips those it chooses. So walk with quiet confidence. The world will not always understand the glow upon you, but it will not be able to deny it either. You will notice how things start aligning more easily, how burdens lift faster, and how clarity replaces confusion. These are all signs of the seal. This is your confirmation. You are not forgotten. You are chosen and marked. Your story carries divine fingerprints from beginning to end. The trials that once felt meaningless now make sense under the light of this revelation. You were never being punished, you were being prepared for this very hour. Now, to seal this word in your spirit, type this prophetic number in the comments 111 as your declaration that divine unity and fresh beginnings have settled over your life. The number 111 symbolizes oneness with God, divine alignment, and the birth of new purpose. By writing it, you are declaring that you and heaven move as one, that your spirit is synchronized with His plan, and that a new beginning has officially begun. Write it once with intention, and let it echo in the unseen. The seal of God is upon you, and every step forward bears the mark of divine unity. When you comment 111, you are not just typing numbers, you are declaring harmony between heaven's will and your walk. Each one represents alignment, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit guiding your single, focused path toward divine purpose and unshakable clarity. Your comment becomes a covenant, a spiritual signature saying, I am one with His plan. Heaven sees it, records it, and responds. 111 is not repetition, it is revelation, confirming that your beginning, your becoming, and your breakthrough are now one. There were seasons when it felt as if the whole world turned against you. Betrayal came from unexpected places, and disappointment found its way into moments that once promised joy. You wondered why life seemed to take you through fire after fire, why everything you trusted was tested, and why those you loved the most sometimes became the ones who misunderstood you. But what you didn't realize then was that every valley, every heartbreak, and every trial was divine training. You were not being abandoned, you were being prepared. Every trial shaped you. Every rejection redirected you. and every loss refined you. The valley was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal what was hidden inside you all along. Diamonds are only formed under pressure. The anointing you carry today was born from the weight you once prayed to escape. God has never wasted a single tear of yours. Every sleepless night, every whispered prayer in the dark, every time you chose faith when fear seemed louder, all of it became the raw material heaven used to build your strength. You were not being punished, you were being promoted in disguise. The deeper the valley, the stronger the rise. According to what is revealed in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. This is not just comfort, it's a covenant. God's promise does not say some things, but all things, even the parts that broke you, even the chapters that made no sense, even the moments that made you question your faith. They are all working together right now, building the masterpiece that is your destiny. You see, the valley teaches what the mountaintop cannot. It's in the low places that you discover who God truly is. When everyone else leaves, he stays. When your strength runs out, his begins. The valley strips you of illusion and leaves you with truth that even when you have nothing, you still have him. Those nights when you cried alone were not unseen. Heaven leaned close. The angels watched over you as the potter's hands shaped you through the pressure. The valley was never punishment, it was formation. The version of you that emerges from it is unbreakable, wise, and steady. You are not the same person who entered the fire. You are refined gold now. And if you look closely, you can see how every disappointment led you closer to destiny. That friend who left, they made room for loyalty. That door that closed, it redirected you to one that opened with grace. That plan that failed, it saved you from something smaller than what was meant for you. The pain that once blinded you now becomes your teacher. Even your scars tell a story. They are not marks of defeat, but medals of endurance. The wounds that once made you ashamed are now proof that you survived what others couldn't. You carry the fingerprints of grace upon your life. The valley didn't take your light, it intensified it. Remember this truth: what you endured was not evidence of God's absence, but of his trust. He allowed you to face storms because he knew what he placed inside you. Weak faith collapses under testing. Real faith is revealed through it. The fire you walked through wasn't random, it was refining your calling, tempering your character, and teaching you divine resilience. There is strength now in your stillness. You no longer need to prove yourself or explain your pain. The evidence of endurance speaks louder than any defense. You have become the lesson others will one day need. You are not just a survivor, you are a testimony. The valley of testing is over, but its wisdom remains. You walk differently now. There is a quiet power in your steps, a sacred calm in your eyes. The same fire that once scared you now obeys you, because you have learned its language. You understand now that nothing was wasted, that even your suffering carried seeds of purpose. So, take a deep breath and look around. You are standing on the other side of what you once thought would destroy you. The fire has passed, and what remains is pure. The pressure has lifted, and what remains is power. The valley is behind you, but its lessons live within you. You have graduated from pain into purpose. The strength you carry is not loud, it's quiet, steady, and real. You no longer need to seek proof of your worth. Your endurance already testified. Heaven smiles upon you, not because you never fell, but because you kept standing when falling seemed easier. Every valley has a purpose, and yours, though painful, became the sacred place where you met God, not as a distant figure, but as a faithful companion who never left your side, even when you could not see it. There were forces surrounding you, silent, strong, and unseen. You were never walking alone. While you wrestled in prayer and wept in confusion, an army of light stood watch over your path. They guarded you when you didn't even know danger was near. They went before you when you felt lost, preparing the ground so your feet would not stumble. These are the unseen allies of heaven, the messengers of mercy, the angels who have been assigned to your journey since the moment of your first breath. They have fought battles you never saw. There were nights when anxiety could have overtaken you, but peace came suddenly. That was not coincidence. That was a presence. There were moments when tragedy came close but did not touch you. That was protection. Heaven has always been near, even when you could not sense its movement. Heaven's warriors are not just mythical beings, they are extensions of God's compassion. When you pray, they move. When you cry out for help, they carry your requests as incense before the throne. Their wings are not symbols of fantasy, they are the representation of God's speed and mercy. When the righteous cry, heaven doesn't delay. The word is sent, and angels respond. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 91, verse 11, "For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways." That verse is not poetic comfort, it is divine law. The command of God establishes the presence of protection around those who trust him. You have never been unguarded. Even when your body slept, your spirit was covered. Even when fear whispered that you were vulnerable, faith was being enforced in unseen realms. Think of how many close calls you've had, accidents narrowly avoided, opportunities restored at the last second, peace found after panic. None of those were luck, they were interventions. Heaven's order of defense never sleeps. The angels assigned to you do not tire. Do not question their mission, and do not retreat at the sight of darkness. They are empowered by divine authority to keep you standing. There have been times when the weight of the world pressed down on your shoulders, and you wondered how you could go on. Yet somehow, you found strength that didn't belong to you. You woke up when you thought you couldn't, smiled when everything hurt, forgave when bitterness called your name. That strength was not born of willpower, it was heavenly assistance. The hand of the unseen was lifting you when your knees were about to give out. When the path grew narrow, the unseen opened space. When voices of doubt surrounded you, angels whispered reassurance to your spirit. They were the reason you did not collapse. You were protected not only from what you could see, but from what you could not. There were attacks that never reached you because they were intercepted in the spiritual realm. If your eyes could be opened even for a moment, you would fall to your knees in awe. You would see light surrounding you, layers upon layers of protection, moving with precision, shielding you from traps laid in the dark. You would see how many times God's mercy intervened while you went about your day, unaware of the rescue taking place on your behalf. You were never defenseless. Every believer carries divine protection written into their destiny. You are part of a kingdom where safety is not a luxury, it is an inheritance. The same God who sent angels to Daniel in the lion's den and to Peter in the prison sends them still. The same protection that covered prophets now covers you. Even when you walked through dangerous places emotionally, spiritually, or physically, there were hands unseen guiding your steps. There is a reason you are still standing, still breathing, still becoming. You are not here by chance. You are the living proof that divine guardianship is real. The angels assigned to you do not leave when the season shifts. They follow the command of heaven's timetable. As you grow in faith, their formation around you strengthens. As your calling expands, their ranks increase. For every new level of purpose, there is a new measure of protection. The higher the assignment, the greater the covering. This awareness is not meant to make you fearless in arrogance, but fearless in assurance. You do not walk alone through shadowed valleys or uncertain paths. You move with a divine entourage, heaven's army walking quietly beside you. So, when fear tries to whisper that you are unprotected, remember this truth: the unseen is stronger than the seen. The divine defense surrounding you is older than your fears and deeper than your doubts. The Lord has appointed His messengers to ensure that you reach every promise written for you. Rest in that. You are not alone, and you never were. The evidence of your survival is proof that the unseen has been fighting for you all along. There are moments when heaven doesn't speak in thunder, but in whispers. Moments when your heart feels a tug, a gentle stirring that tells you what needs to be done next. It is the quiet voice of obedience, not loud or dramatic, but steady and clear. You have heard it before when something inside you said, "Wait," or "Go," or "Forgive." That voice has been your compass all along. The journey of the chosen is not about endless noise and signs. It is about learning the language of obedience. God does not need to shout when your heart is close enough to hear Him. The world trains you to act from impulse, but heaven trains you to move from instruction. The difference between breakthrough and breakdown often lies in one moment of obedience. Obedience is not submission to control, it is partnership with purpose. When you obey, you are not giving something up, you are aligning yourself with something greater. The voice of God will never lead you away from peace, only toward fulfillment. Sometimes it will challenge you, but it will never harm you. It cuts only to heal, it corrects only to guide. The Apostle John recorded Jesus' words in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 27. "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." This is the heart of relationship, not religion, but recognition. When your spirit learns to recognize His tone, you stop chasing every sound that calls your name. You learn that not every open door is an invitation, and not every closed door is rejection. Some doors close because protection walked in before you could. There will be times when God's instructions do not make sense. He will ask you to take steps that seem small or insignificant. But those small steps open great doors. Naaman almost missed his healing because obedience looked too simple. The widow almost missed her miracle because her last bit of oil felt too small to matter. Obedience rarely looks impressive, but it always carries power. You must remember, heaven does not measure obedience by size, but by surrender. When you say yes to God, even without understanding, heaven begins to move. The atmosphere around you adjusts to your alignment. The chains that once felt heavy begin to break because obedience unlocks divine authority. Obedience is not a one-time act, it is a posture. It means choosing to listen when logic argues, to trust when fear shouts, and to act when the Spirit whispers. Each time you obey, the voice becomes clearer. the guidance becomes stronger, and the miracles come closer. Sometimes obedience requires silence. You don't always need to explain what God told you to do. Those who are not tuned to your frequency won't understand your direction. But the moment you act in faith, heaven confirms it. Every unseen door responds to the sound of obedience. You have reached a moment like that now. The whisper has returned. It is not commanding, it is inviting. God is asking you to move with Him again, not through striving, but through surrender. This is the sacred rhythm of destiny. You listen, you move, and the miracle unfolds. The Spirit's instruction may seem simple. Forgive that person. Let go of that habit. Reach out to that one who hurt you. Or simply rest and stop fighting battles that no longer belong to you. Whatever it is, trust that obedience always leads to restoration. And when you obey, peace follows. Not the kind of peace that the world gives, temporary, shallow but deep. Grounding peace that says, I am where I am meant to be. You will feel it immediately. The tension lifts. The confusion clears. The presence of God feels near again. That's the fruit of obedience, peace in motion. Your heart already knows what heaven is asking. You've heard the whisper. Now comes the choice. Obedience begins where understanding ends. It's the bridge between prayer and manifestation. The question isn't whether God is speaking, it's whether you are listening. So, as a sign of agreement, type these words in the comments. I will follow. Let this be your quiet covenant with heaven, a short sentence that carries eternal weight. Not forced, not loud, just sincere. By writing it, you are saying, I choose alignment over resistance, peace over pride, faith over fear. Heaven hears that kind of obedience. And when it does, the gates begin to move. When you write, I will follow, it becomes more than a comment. It's a declaration of faith. Heaven sees it as the moment your heart steps into alignment with divine direction, where hesitation gives way to holy movement. Those 3 words carry authority. They tell every storm, every doubt, every distraction that your spirit has chosen clarity. You are no longer walking in circles, you are walking in covenant. The unseen world responds to surrendered obedience. Type it slowly, meaning every letter. Let I will follow be the echo of your trust, the symbol of your willingness to walk wherever God leads next. The turning has begun. You may not see it yet, but heaven is rearranging what once seemed permanent. The tide that once pulled you backward now pushes you forward. The very situations that once wounded you are about to testify in your favor. You have entered the season of divine reversal, the moment when the first becomes last and the forgotten becomes chosen. You've been through the valley, faced betrayal, endured silence, and waited longer than you thought you could. But everything that seemed to work against you is now working for you. Heaven has issued a decree. It's time. The delay has expired. The reversal has begun. According to the ancient writings in the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. This is not just a story about Joseph, it's a mirror of your life. What was meant to break you became the bridge to your destiny. Every betrayal became a lesson, every loss a seed, every injustice a setup for redemption. Heaven specializes in turning human pain into divine purpose. When God reverses a season, it happens subtly at first. You begin to notice how peace replaces anxiety, how opportunities start returning, how people who left suddenly remember your name. This is not coincidence, it's evidence. The script is changing. What once stood as a monument of defeat will soon become an altar of praise. Divine reversal is never chaos, it's correction. It's heaven restoring the order that was always meant to be. You may feel things shifting rapidly, people moving in and out of your life, emotions intensifying, but it's all alignment. God is reordering your steps to match His original design. You see, when the enemy plotted, God planned. When people rejected you, heaven selected you. When doors closed, the architect of eternity began carving new ones that no man could shut. Reversal doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes your perspective. It reminds you that the author of your story has never lost control of the plot. The places that once humiliated you will honor you. The same environments that underestimated you will now celebrate you. What you once called loss will soon reveal itself as preservation. The hand of God wastes nothing, it transforms everything. Even now, unseen strings are being pulled in your favor. Conversations are happening about you in rooms your feet have not entered. The very thing that caused you pain is about to introduce you to purpose. You will look back and whisper, "Now I see." Reversal is not just external, it's internal. It's the shift that happens when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Thank you, Lord, for trusting me with this journey." The miracle is not only that circumstances change, it's that your heart learns peace regardless of outcome. That is the true victory, the restoration of inner stillness after long storms. This is your season to release control. God is rewriting what once looked like failure into favor. The tables are turning, not by your effort, but by divine orchestration. You are not striving for the blessing anymore, you are standing in it. When something inside you whispers, "This is my moment," let that whisper guide your action. Let your gratitude become your offering. When a word touches you deeply, when a spark of hope reignites your faith, do not rush past it, linger. That moment is sacred, and in that sacred pause, do what feels natural. Plant a seed of light, an act of acknowledgement that heaven has spoken. Maybe that seed looks like sharing this message so that someone else can find their own turning point. Maybe it looks like quietly leaving your fingerprint on this word. A silent way of saying, "This reached me." Maybe it looks like choosing to remain near this well, where your spirit keeps being refreshed. Every gesture made from sincerity, every like, every act of sharing, every choice to stay connected becomes a symbolic act of faith. It is not about numbers, it's about nurture. You are tending to the ground that feeds your soul. You are watering what once was dry within you. Let these small acts be your worship, your offering, your way of saying, "I am ready for the reversal." The beauty of faith is that it never demands, it invites. The invitation is before you to respond, to engage, to move. So as heaven shifts the script and aligns your story with grace, follow the rhythm of gratitude, like as though you are planting seeds into divine soil. Share as though you are releasing light into someone else's night. Subscribe as though you are choosing to remain near the river where revelation flows. Not because you must, but because your spirit wants to stay where light speaks. This is not obligation, it is communion. It is the heart quietly saying, "This is holy ground, and I choose to stay." The reversal has begun. The broken pieces are becoming beauty. The story has turned, and this time, it ends in glory. Sometimes, in the stillness that follows victory, you begin to hear echoes from promises once spoken long ago. Words that you almost forgot begin to stir again in your heart. Whispers of destiny that once seemed distant now draw near. This is the moment when heaven revisits its covenant with you, when God reminds you that He never forgets what He has declared. There are promises attached to your name, written before you even understood your own calling. They have waited, patient and unchanging, through every season of wandering and weariness. God has not abandoned them. The promises of heaven do not expire, they mature. They wait for the appointed time, and that time is now beginning to unfold. The voice of God thundered in the book of Numbers, chapter 23, verse 19. God is not a man, that He should lie, nor a son of man, that He should change His mind. Does He speak and then not act? Does He promise and not fulfill? You see, God's words are not subject to time. They create time. When He speaks, reality bends until it matches His decree. Even when your path detoured, the promise remained intact, preserved in heaven's keeping until you were ready to hold it. What you thought was delay was really development. The promise was never denied, it was simply deferred until you were prepared to carry its weight. There were days when you questioned if you had misunderstood, when silence made you think the promise had died. But what seems dormant to you is often alive underground. Seeds do not vanish when buried, they prepare to bloom. Every word God has spoken over you is a seed that cannot rot. Only rest until its season of awakening. And that season is now. You may feel subtle nudges, old dreams resurfacing, desires you buried stirring again, prayers once whispered returning with new strength. These are not coincidences. They are reminders that heaven's timeline has caught up with your readiness. The same Spirit that first inspired the promise is now activating it again. Sometimes, God waits not for circumstances to align, but for your heart to mature. A promise given too early can become a burden, but when given in due time, it becomes a blessing that sustains. That's why the wilderness existed, not to punish you, but to prepare you. It was in the waiting that your roots grew deep, that faith became unshakable, that dependence replaced pride. Every covenant has its testing period. Abraham waited decades for Isaac. Joseph endured betrayal before the palace. David hid in caves before the crown. Delay does not mean disqualification. It means destiny is being refined. God always fulfills His word, but He ensures the vessel is ready to receive it. You have reached that readiness now. Heaven sees it. Your obedience, your perseverance, your quiet faithfulness in unseen seasons have brought you into divine alignment. The clock of eternity has struck now, when God remembers His promise. It's not because He forgot, it's because the appointed moment has arrived. The promise was always tied to time, and the time was always tied to your growth. You've become the version of yourself capable of carrying what you once only dreamed of. And when the promise manifests, it will not come in fragments, it will come complete. You won't need to chase or prove or beg. What belongs to you will find you, drawn by the magnetism of divine order. Heaven's promises are not like human ones. They come wrapped in purpose, soaked in timing, and sealed in peace. Do not rush it. Do not compare your timeline to another's. The covenant attached to your life is uniquely crafted. God's promises are not delayed, they are deliberate. When the fulfillment arrives, it will make sense of every detour, every closed door, every tear. This is the beauty of divine memory. God never loses track of His word. Even when you lose faith, He remembers. Even when you fall short, He restores. His promise is not built on your perfection but on His permanence. You are walking now in the unfolding of words spoken long before this moment. Look closely at your life, and you will begin to see the hints, the people who appear at the right time, the opportunities that return, the peace that feels strangely familiar. They are signs that the covenant is alive and active. So, breathe. You are not waiting anymore, you are witnessing. The promise is not coming, it's already here. Unraveling quietly, beautifully, in God's perfect rhythm. The same God who began this story will finish it with glory. Every word ever spoken over you still stands. Heaven has not forgotten it, remembers. And now it fulfills. Every heartbeat now echoes prophecy fulfilled. What was once a whisper of hope becomes living reality before your eyes. God's word, wrapped in perfect timing, unfolding gently yet powerfully. Stand still in awe. The promise did not change. You did. Now, maturity meets manifestation, and heaven's covenant breathes through your every breath. There are moments in your journey when everything shifts at once. The sorrow fades, the heaviness lifts, and joy begins to seep through the cracks of what once felt broken. You may not even notice it at first, but the air feels lighter, your heart steadier, your thoughts clearer. This is what happens when heaven initiates divine exchange. What once belonged to pain now belongs to purpose. Every tear you shed has been collected, and now heaven returns them as rivers of joy. The mourning you endured in silence has become the soil for laughter. The burden that pressed you down has turned into the oil that anoints you. What once seemed like loss was actually the preparation for abundance. You are stepping into the moment of divine exchange, where everything that was taken is being returned in multiplied form. It was proclaimed in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, "I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten, the cankerworm, and the caterpillar, and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you." Restoration does not just return what was lost, it redeems time. God doesn't simply replace, He accelerates. He gathers every wasted year, every missed opportunity, every broken relationship, and reweaves them into a tapestry of blessing. What was scattered is being gathered again. The pieces are returning home. The beauty of divine exchange is that it does not happen through striving, it happens through surrender. When you let go of bitterness, God fills you with peace. When you release your pain, He replaces it with purpose. When you stop chasing justice, He releases restoration. Exchange requires empty hands. You've carried long enough the memories that weighed you down, the what-ifs, the if-onlys, the lingering shame of past decisions. Heaven is saying, it's time to trade them. Trade your ashes for beauty, your anxiety for trust, your regret for redemption. You can't hold both pain and promise at once. One must be released for the other to rise. And as you release, something holy happens. The presence of God rushes in to fill every space where pain once lived. You begin to realize that what you thought was empty was actually being prepared for overflow. The peace that follows is not shallow happiness, it's restoration in motion. Divine exchange is the rhythm of grace, what you surrender. Heaven transforms. You give him what's broken, he gives you what's blessed. You hand over fear, he hands you faith. You release control, he releases freedom. It's the most sacred trade ever made, the weight of your wounds exchanged for the wings of his will. You might feel as though you've lost too much, that too many years have slipped through your fingers. But God specializes in divine multiplication. The years that felt wasted will suddenly yield more fruit than decades of striving. The relationships that broke you will make room for those that bless you. The places that once rejected you will now call for you. That's how divine exchange works. He replaces every no with a greater yes. This moment marks the transition from surviving to soaring. You are not meant to stay where grief grew. You are meant to rise where grace reigns. Let this truth settle deep. The worst part of your story is becoming the most powerful testimony. And now heaven extends an invitation. Not a demand, but a choice, a prophetic act of alignment. Type this number in the comments 222 as your declaration that divine exchange is taking place in your life right now. The number 222 symbolizes double portion and divine partnership. It is heaven's way of saying, I am multiplying what remains and walking with you into newness. When you write it, you are agreeing with that rhythm of restoration. You are saying, I release the old and receive the new. Let it be your quiet covenant with God that every loss now yields gain. Every scar now carries beauty, and every ending now births a beginning. You are standing in the holy space of exchange, where mourning turns into dancing, where ashes glow with light, and where pain is rewritten as purpose. When you write 222, you are not chasing luck, you are confirming alignment. Each two carries meaning, agreement, balance, and divine partnership. You are declaring, heaven and I move as one. What I lost is now multiplied in grace. This number echoes through unseen realms. It tells the heavens that you trust the process of exchange, that you believe God is not just restoring what was stolen, but doubling the blessing, rebuilding with beauty what was once reduced to ashes. Type 222 slowly, intentionally, as a sacred seal. Let it be your personal prophecy that from this moment, everything in your life begins to realign under divine balance. Restoration is not coming, it has begun. Grace is multiplying, and heaven has already signed its agreement with your faith. You have walked through fire and come out shining. You have faced storms that tried to drown your spirit. Yet you stand today stronger, wiser, and more radiant than before. What you carry now is not the residue of pain, but the fragrance of redemption. You are no longer a survivor trying to find light. You are the light that illuminates others' paths. The season of breaking has become the birthplace of your authority. This is the mystery of grace. The same wounds that once brought you to your knees have become the very source of your strength. You are now a vessel refined by trial, a carrier of divine power that speaks without needing to shout. Heaven has crowned you not with worldly trophies, but with spiritual weight. You are anointed to restore, to speak healing, and to awaken hope where despair once reigned. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the 2 Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 4, he comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. When they are troubled, we will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us. That verse defines your transformation. The comfort you once begged for now flows through you. You have become a channel of what once felt unreachable. This is the beauty of divine purpose. What tried to destroy you becomes the very thing God uses to deliver others. You were never meant to keep your light hidden. It was always meant to spill over, to touch hearts still wandering through darkness. You have been crowned, not with arrogance, but with assignment. Heaven does not crown for decoration, it crowns for duty. The oil upon your head is not ornamental, it's operational. You have been set apart to carry compassion in a world starving for kindness, to carry peace in spaces ruled by chaos, to speak faith where fear has silenced others. That is your calling now. This crown you wear is invisible to the world, but undeniable to the Spirit. People will feel it before they see it. Some will be drawn to your peace without knowing why. Others will be convicted simply by your calm. You are not the same as before. The presence of God rests upon you tangibly. You carry a weight that shifts atmospheres. When you walk into a room, heaven enters with you. Do not take that lightly. Authority is not about dominance, it's about responsibility. You are called to serve, not to rule. Your greatness is revealed through gentleness, your influence through humility. The crown is not a weapon to wield, it's a mantle to carry with reverence. This is why your past pain mattered. It trained your heart to lead with empathy. You know the language of suffering, so you can speak life into the broken. You understand isolation, so you can offer belonging. You've walked through darkness, so your light carries credibility. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every scar became a scripture written on your soul. The crowned redeemed are not loud, they are luminous. They shine quietly, healing by presence more than by words. Their strength is not in control but in compassion. That is who you are becoming. Heaven did not just rescue you, it entrusted you. You have been transformed from a wounded warrior into a healer of others. And though you may not always feel ready, remember, heaven equips before it exposes. Everything you've walked through has been divine training for what you are stepping into now. The grace that sustained you in silence will empower you in service. You are not rising to prove anything, you are rising to pour. The oil upon your life was not given for comfort, but for commission. You have been called to ignite faith in hearts that have gone cold, to remind the weary that restoration is still possible. Look at yourself now, not with pride, but with wonder. The one who almost gave up now carries revival in their hands. The one who once wept in secret now releases healing in public. That is what redemption looks like when God finishes his work. So, walk forward, crowned yet humble, radiant yet grounded. Let the world see through your actions what heaven has already declared, that the redeemed have risen, that grace has triumphed, and that your light was born for this generation. Your crown is not made of gold, but of glory. It gleams through your patience, your mercy, your willingness to forgive. Every act of love polishes it brighter, reminding heaven that you carry divine royalty within fragile humanity. Let humility be your throne and compassion your scepter. True kings and queens of heaven lead by serving, lift by loving, and conquer by kindness. Your reign is peace. Your territory the hearts you heal through grace. When others see you, may they glimpse eternity, a living testimony of redemption walking among them. You are crowned not to be seen, but to shine, quietly revealing the beauty of God's restoration. There comes a moment when what was once locked begins to move. You sense it in the air, first a subtle opening, like wind finding its way through a sealed window. You feel peace rising where pressure used to live, favor flowing where frustration once reigned. The gates have shifted. The door you prayed for, cried over, and nearly gave up on is finally swinging open. This is not imagination, it's manifestation. Heaven has issued the decree, and creation has responded. The walls that once confined you are now gates inviting you forward. You are standing in the threshold of the open gate, a space between endings and beginnings, between what was and what will now be. Everything is responding to divine command. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 7, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. You have knocked faithfully, and heaven has heard." Every prayer, every whisper, every sigh of surrender was a sound that reached the courts of eternity. You thought the knocking was endless, but it was simply building rhythm, preparing heaven to release the yes that changes everything. When God opens a gate, it does not creak in hesitation, it swings with purpose. It opens at the exact moment your heart is ready to walk through it. Many times, you thought the door was closed, but it wasn't. It was being reinforced, strengthened, made perfect for the weight of your calling. The delay was never denial, it was design. Now the season has shifted. You no longer need to push with effort. The wind of God pushes for you. What once resisted now releases. The same places that felt impossible begin to yield with ease. Opportunities that were hidden now appear like sunrise breaking through fog. You are not chasing anymore. You are being carried by divine current. Do you feel it? The air around you has changed. The gates are open, not because of who you are, but because of who He is. Grace has gone ahead of you. The light that surrounds you now is not fragile, it's fierce. It will expose deception, dissolve confusion, and illuminate every next step with precision. When heaven opens something, no power on earth can shut it. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the grave has stepped into your circumstances, commanding access where once there was blockage. The enemy can no longer delay what has been decreed. The locks are undone, the barriers are gone. This is divine permission in motion. But remember, open gates require discernment. Not every path is your path, even when the door is wide. The open gate is an invitation, not a demand. You must walk through with wisdom, with eyes fixed on the one who opened it. If you move with impatience, you may step ahead of grace, but if you move with peace, the path will unfold naturally. There will be moments when it feels unfamiliar. Don't retreat. Growth always begins in spaces that challenge comfort. You prayed for expansion. This is it. The open gate is not just opportunity, it's transformation. It stretches your faith, sharpens your focus, and reminds you that freedom still requires responsibility. This is the time to walk with reverence. Every step you take through this open gate echoes in eternity. Your obedience creates pathways for others who are still waiting. You are not walking alone, You are blazing a trail for generations behind you. The open gate symbolizes trust restored, favor returned, and destiny activated. You are stepping out of surviving into thriving. The land that once rejected you now welcomes you. The environment that once drained you now nourishes you. This is divine reversal unfolding in motion. Do not fear the vastness of what lies beyond the gate. You were built for it. Everything you've endured was preparation for this expansion. You are ready, not because you feel ready, but because heaven says you are. The anointing upon you matches the territory before you. Pause here and breathe. You are living in a moment prophets dreamed of, the fulfillment of long-held prayers. The open gate is not just an external change, it's an internal awakening. The courage to walk through is being birthed within you, and as you cross the threshold, the past will no longer cling. Regret loses its grip. Shame loses its language. And fear loses its voice. What remains is freedom, the kind that only comes when heaven opens something man could not. The open gate stands before you, radiant with possibility. Walk forward. Step with gratitude. This is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of divine movement that will lead you into the fullness of everything God has promised. The gate is open, and the path is clear. Go forward. The future is waiting. Step through without fear. For the same God who opened the gate will guide your every step beyond it. The unknown ahead is simply the familiar to him. Walk, your promise awaits. There is a glow around you now. Though you may not fully perceive it, the air feels softer. The weight that once clung to you has lifted. Something has changed, not just in your life, but in the atmosphere itself. You have become a living testimony, a reflection of divine faithfulness. The witness of glory has begun. This is the moment when others start to notice what heaven has already known. They see peace where there once was pain, confidence where there once was fear, light where there once was silence. You don't need to explain the transformation. It speaks for itself. You have walked through valleys, crossed deserts, and stood through storms. And now, your very presence tells a story of victory. The Apostle Peter declared in his first letter, chapter 2, verse 9, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." You are that light now. The reflection of his glory has found a home in your countenance. What was hidden in pain has become radiant through purpose. And though this light is gentle, it carries power. It awakens others. Your story becomes a spark in someone else's night. The very places that once held your tears now echo with testimony. The witness of glory is not about perfection, it's about reflection. You are not shining because you have it all together. You shine because you have been through darkness and still chose light. Glory is not a crown to wear, it's a flame to carry. Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every word of encouragement fans that flame brighter, and people will notice, not because you seek attention, but because heaven's radiance cannot be hidden. It leaks through your laughter, your peace, your presence. Someone will look at you and feel hope again. Someone will hear your words and find the courage to stand once more. This is how glory multiplies. It spreads silently, like sunrise over quiet waters. Let it. Don't dim yourself out of humility. The world does not need smaller lights, it needs true ones. Your shining does not boast of self, it boasts of grace. You are not taking credit, you are giving evidence that God keeps his promises. But glory must move, it must flow outward. You were not illuminated just for yourself, you were lit to light others. And here is where your part begins. If a word, a phrase, a truth within this message touched your spirit, don't let it fade. Let it breathe. Let it move. Let it travel. Maybe that looks like planting a reflection, a gesture of gratitude, the way you quietly press your heart's agreement into the world. Maybe it means carrying this flame further, allowing its warmth to reach someone still standing in shadow. Or maybe it's simply choosing to remain close to the fire, returning when your spirit longs to remember the sound of heaven's voice. These small, sacred gestures, whether you choose to like, share, leave a comment, or stay connected, are not obligations, they are acts of worship. Each one is a way of saying, "This light touched me, and I choose to let it live on." When you share light, you multiply it. When you acknowledge it, you nurture it. When you return to it, you keep it burning. None of these are commands, they are invitations, gentle and beautiful, woven into your freedom. Your story is the same. God never forced your transformation, He invited it. He whispered until your heart said yes. That is how heaven works, not through pressure, but through love. So let your response today come from that same place of peace. Maybe your heart's reflection will take form as a quiet comment, words like, "The light still shines," or "Grace carried me." It's not performance, it's a prayer written in public view. Sometimes one sentence of truth in the open becomes the candle someone else needed to see. When you choose to stay near the source, subscribing not to a channel, but to a current of grace. It's not about following a person, it's about staying within the flow of reminders that keep your spirit awake. Think of it this way: to like is to acknowledge light, to share is to release it, to comment is to reflect it, and to stay is to remain near the flame. Each one is sacred, each one personal. The choice is yours alone, as beautiful and free as grace itself. You are the living witness now, the evidence that God redeems, restores, and radiates through His chosen ones. Let your life tell the story. Let your peace preach the sermon. Let your joy light the way. The world is watching, and heaven is smiling. Your light is not temporary, it is eternal. Every breath you take whispers glory. Every act of love extends heaven's reach. Keep shining. The story God began in you is still unfolding in radiant grace. The time of hiding is over. You no longer walk as one merely awakened, you now move as one commissioned. The crown has settled, the light has risen, and the gates have opened. What follows is the march of the chosen. This is the moment when your footsteps begin to echo across spiritual ground, calling others to rise as you once were called. You are not walking alone. Heaven moves with you. Every step you take reverberates with divine intention. The same angels that once guarded you in silence now walk beside you in purpose. You are no longer the one waiting for change, you are the one carrying it. You have become a vessel of transformation, a living declaration that God still calls ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and of good courage, do not fear. nor be afraid of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. That verse is no longer distant comfort, it is your reality. The fear that once kept you hesitant now bows before courage. The hesitation that once delayed you dissolves under conviction. You walk forward with clarity because divine companionship surrounds you. This march is not a sprint, it is steady, sacred, unstoppable. You are part of something greater than yourself now. The chosen ones are rising in every corner of the earth, those who have survived the breaking, endured the silence, and emerged refined. You are among them, carrying fire in your spirit and peace in your stride. You were never meant to blend in, you were meant to blaze through darkness as a sign of what heaven can do through a willing heart. The march of the chosen is not loud, it is luminous. It does not rely on shouting but on shining. The world may not always recognize you, but heaven does. You are heaven's ambassador, carrying unseen authority wrapped in quiet grace. When you walk into chaos, peace follows. When you speak truth, deception trembles. When you extend compassion, walls collapse. This journey is not about conquering people, it is about conquering fear, pride, and doubt within yourself. You march not to dominate, but to liberate. You march carrying love as your banner and truth as your armor. Every step becomes a sermon, every breath a prayer, every act of kindness a weapon against despair. You were born for this moment. Every chapter of pain was training, every tear a lesson, every delay a refining fire. You have walked through the valley and climbed through silence to stand here now a torchbearer in a world hungry for hope. Heaven trusted you with this assignment because your scars testify louder than your words ever could. Your calling will not always be comfortable, but it will always be clear. There will be moments when resistance rises. But remember, resistance is proof of relevance. The enemy does not fight what he does not fear. If opposition surrounds you, it's because heaven has already declared you unstoppable. The march of the chosen is both personal and collective. You move as one, yet never alone. Every step you take awakens another who was watching from the shadows, waiting for a sign that it's possible to begin again. Your obedience becomes their permission. Your courage becomes their compass. You lead not through power, but through presence. And though your pace may sometimes slow, heaven adjusts to match your rhythm. You will not be left behind, for divine timing carries you forward. What once felt like delay now becomes pacing, heaven aligning each step so that you arrive exactly when and where you're meant to. You will meet others on this path, some ahead, some behind, all part of the same great movement. The chosen are not competitors, they are companions. Together, you build what darkness tried to dismantle. Together, you remind the earth that hope still breathes. As you walk, remember the sacred balance, strength without pride, confidence without arrogance, power without cruelty. The true mark of the chosen is not dominance, it is devotion. The greater your influence becomes, the deeper your humility must root. You rise not to be seen, but to serve. Listen closely, your footsteps are not only your own. Heaven amplifies them, sending ripples across realms. You are marching for generations you will never meet, paving roads for souls not yet born. Every prayer you whisper, every good deed you sow, becomes legacy. The chosen never truly walk for themselves, they walk for others, So march on. Carry your torch with steady hands. Walk with reverence, not rush. Let your journey preach without needing words. You are not chasing destiny, you are embodying it. And as the path stretches ahead, remember, this is not the end. This is the expansion. The march continues, and heaven walks with you. The sound you hear now is not merely the echo of your own footsteps, it is the resonance of completion. Heaven has recorded your journey. From the moment you trembled under uncertainty to this very instant of peace, the circle has closed. But the story has not ended. What began as survival has blossomed into purpose. What started in pain has matured into power. The eternal echo has begun. You have arrived not at the conclusion, but at the confirmation. Every word spoken over your life has found its fulfillment in this stillness. The battles that once defined your days have turned into memories of grace. You have become living evidence that endurance produces glory, that patience births miracles, that faith never returns empty. Heaven is no longer whispering promises, it is proclaiming them fulfilled. As was spoken in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8, I know your deeds. See, I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. That verse now lives in you. You have walked through the door no one could close. You kept believing when the silence felt unbearable. You held faith when the world mocked hope. And because of that faith, heaven has sealed your victory. The miracle you once chased now walks beside you. The promise you once waited for now flows through you. You are no longer standing outside of destiny, you are living inside of it. The eternal echo of your obedience reverberates through creation. Every step you took in faith continues to resound, awakening hearts far beyond your sight. The ripples of your yes will keep moving long after your name fades from memory. Because obedience never dies, it multiplies. The eternal echo is not just sound, it is substance. It carries the vibration of heaven's heartbeat. It whispers into generations that have yet to be born. It tells them, faith still works, love still wins, and God still keeps his word. This is the legacy of the chosen, not perfection, but persistence. You kept walking when others stopped. You kept believing when others doubted. You held on to light even when surrounded by shadow. Now heaven responds. The angels who once guarded you now sing over you. The same hand that carried you through trials now crowns you in triumph. The divine voice that once whispered, "Wait," now declares, "Well done." You have crossed into completion. Not as one exhausted, but as one renewed. The eternal echo does not fade. It grows louder with every life you touch. Every word of hope you've spoken, every act of love you've sown, every prayer you've lifted is still moving through eternity. Heaven wastes nothing. Even your smallest gesture of faith continues to ripple outward, calling others into the same grace that found you. You have become part of a divine lineage, a chain of light stretching through centuries, connecting the faithful who have walked before you with those who will come after. The echo of your obedience adds its note to that unending chorus. When you love, when you forgive, when you rise again, the sound continues. You are not forgotten in heaven's song, you are one of its notes. And now you understand the mystery. Your miracle was never just about you. It was about every life your story would touch, every silent listener, every searching soul, every weary heart that would draw strength from your resilience. The eternal echo carries them all, weaving your victory into theirs. Your name is now etched in divine remembrance, not because of fame or recognition, but because of faithfulness. Heaven honors the quiet ones, the unseen ones, the ones who chose surrender over pride. You are among them. You have joined the company of the marked, the crowned, the completed. Yet even in this fulfillment, heaven does not say, "Stop." It says, "Continue," not in striving, but in overflow. You will keep shining, keep giving, keep awakening. For the eternal echo never ends, it evolves. It moves from one heart to another, from one season to the next, carrying the same holy sound that God is faithful, that His promises endure, that His chosen ones never walk alone. So stand in this light, breathe in this peace, feel heaven's joy surrounding you like gentle fire. The story you lived has become the song you leave behind, and as heaven's melody continues through time, your echo will remain a timeless reminder that grace prevailed, that love endured, that the chosen stood firm until the end. The eternal echo has spoken. You have finished the chapter, but not the calling. The light continues, the story extends, and heaven remembers your name forever. Even when your voice grows quiet, your echo remains. It lives in every heart you've touched, every soul awakened by your light. Eternity carries your sound forward, unbroken, unending, alive in the rhythm of heaven's everlasting song. And now, the story comes full circle. The words have been spoken, the light has been released, and your spirit has heard what it was meant to hear. This is not just an ending, it is a continuation, a sacred unfolding that now rests in your hands. If something within these words has stirred your heart, don't let it fade quietly into memory. Let it breathe. Let it move. Share it like a spark passed from one flame to another. A way of saying, "This light found me, and I want it to find someone else." Every act of sharing is a bridge between one weary soul and the message that could awaken them again. And if your spirit whispered, "Yes, I feel this," then let it be known. Leave your reflection below. A word, an emoji, a sentence, or simply a phrase that feels true. Maybe it's "I receive this," or "The light still shines." It doesn't have to be perfect, it only has to be honest. That small act of expression becomes an altar, a public echo of what heaven has whispered in private. If you've found peace, if these words remind you of home, stay near the flame. Stay connected, not out of obligation, but out of hunger for what keeps your soul alive. Think of it this way: to like is to say Amen. To share is to spread light. To comment is to testify. And to subscribe is to remain close to the well that refreshes you. Do it not because you must, but because your spirit wants to keep walking in this light. Every time you return, heaven meets you here again, whispering, "You are still chosen," until the next word finds you. Carry this one in your heart. The light remains.